Hey guys, today we are going to create an end-to-end test using Cypress for our VueJS application. Cypress is a JavaScript testing framework that doesn't use Selenium as other QA automation frameworks. Cypress works on any front-end framework or website. All the tests are written in JavaScript, and it's not only for QA engineers but also for developers, because one of the goals of Cypress is to make test-driven development a reality for end-to-end testing. I have experience using Selenium, and I can say that Cypress is faster and more reliable than Selenium. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and let's get started. Okay, this is the application that we've been working on for the past 4 weeks. We can add tasks, we can change the status of the task and mark the task as completed. We can delete tasks. So those are the things that we are going to test. We're going to test that we can add tasks, that we can modify the tasks, and that we can delete the tasks. So let's go to the Visual Studio Code and let's get started with Cypress. Okay, so these are the things that we are going to test. We are going to add a new task, and we are going to validate that the new task has been created, and we are going to use Cypress for that. Cypress will spin up a new browser and will execute these actions by actually using the browser and entering text, clicking buttons, and interacting with the UI. So first we are going to add a new task, and then we are going to validate that the new task has been created. After that, we are going to mark a task as completed, and then we are going to validate that the task is actually completed. And finally, we are going to remove a task, and we are going to validate that actually the task has been removed. Okay, so let's get started. First, what we're going to do is we're going to refresh the application before each test. So in order to do that, we need to add the before each sentence, and then this method provided by Cypress is going to receive an arrow function. And here we are going to use the CI variable, and using the CI variable is the way that we have to access the Cypress library. So what we are going to do first is we are going to visit our website before running each test. So we are going to refresh the application before running each of the tests. And this is the URL of our website, localhost on port 8080. Next, we are going to add a new task. We add the name of the test. That is basically adds a new task, and this method receives the description of the test and then an arrow function where we add the actual code of the test. And here again we are going to use this variable to access the CI API. And first we are going to get the input text. So first let's review the actual component, that is actually this one. We are going to access this input field by using the element and the class of the element as selector. So we are going to get that input. The element is input and the class is txt, and what we are going to do there is we're going to type the name of the task. Let's say task 1, and we're going to add a delay, so when we run this we can follow what the test is doing. Delay, and let's say 1 second delay for each key press. Okay. And once we get the input and we enter the name of the task, we are going to submit this form that is actually this button here of class btn. So we are going to click on that button. And again, we need to use CI or CY that get, and we use the class as the selector, that btn, and then we use the click function. So what we're doing here is we're typing the name of the task in the input field, and then we click on the button to submit the form and create the task using our API. So in order to make it easier to follow the steps of the test, I'm going to add a function called wait, so we can follow what the test is doing. So I'm going to do this. cy.wait, and let's say 5 seconds. And I'm going to add this wait between each sentence. Okay, and once we add the new task, we need to validate that the task was actually created. What we are going to do is we're going to validate that the task is present on the screen. Okay, so it finds the new task. That's the name of or the description of the test. And then we pass an arrow function with the actual code that in this case is going to be ci.get, and the selector is going to be actually this one, to-do item and the paragraph within that div. So this is the way that each task is rendered, where we have the task name, we have a checkbox, and then we have the button to delete that task. So the selector to access this new task is going to be the class of the div, that to-do item, and the paragraph. And we're going to get the first node using that selector, and then we're going to assert that it should contain the name of the task, that in this case is task 1. I'm going to add this wait sentence before and after this assertion. So let's run these first 2 tests. So before doing that, let me show you the package.json. Here is the Cypress dependency that you install as usual, npm I Cypress. And I added this script end-to-end for Chrome, and it's actually running this Cypress run and the browser Chrome as a parameter. So let's run this. This will open the Chrome browser and it's going to run all these tests for us. Okay, now it's open. It will open the browser. It's going to open the URL of the application, localhost 8080, and then it's going to start adding the new task, as we can see on the left. So it's going to type task 1 on the input box, and it's going to press on the add task button. And as we can see, it added the task. And now we are going to validate that the task was actually created. It's doing this assertion that we can see here. And as we can see, all the tests passed. And one cool feature that Cypress provides is that it records the test on video, so we can replay or we can attach as evidence on a ticket, for example. If we work, I don't know, if you use Jira or Trello or any other tool to track the issues, so you can attach this video as evidence that all the tests are passing. So if we go to the Cypress folder and if we go to videos, we can actually view this execution again. And here again, it will open the VueJS application on port 8080. It's going to add a new task. It's going to type the name of the task on this input box here. It's going to press on the add task button, and then it's going to check that the task was actually created. So this is great to keep evidence that you ran the test and you can show the results to the rest of the team. Okay, let's add some more tests. Now let's mark the task as completed. So what we need to do here is we need to click on the checkbox and mark the task as completed, and then we are going to validate that the task was actually completed by checking that the class was assigned to the element. So as you may remember, we have a class here on the label of the checkbox that is bind to this element if the task is completed. The is complete is a CSS class that we define here, and is going to add a text decoration with a line through the label with the color red on the text. So we are going to check that. Okay, so it, and we have the description, basically clicks the checkbox to mark the task as completed. And here we create the arrow function where we pass the action implementation of the test. Okay, and here what we need to do is we need to access that checkbox. If we go back to the component, is actually we need to use the class to do item, and then we need to access the element by using the element selector, in this case input, and the class that is CV in this case. So again, we are going to use CY that get, and we're going to use that selector, that is that to do item and the checkbox element, and we just use the click method to execute the click on the checkbox. And again, we are going to add this wait so we can follow the execution of the test. And once we click on the checkbox, we want to validate that the task is actually completed. So we're going to create that test, IT verifies that the task is completed. We pass the arrow function, And here what we need to do is we need to access the label and check that it has the class is complete. So again, we need to use CI get, and we need to enter the selector that is going to be that to do item p and the label. So if we go back to the component, we can see that we have the div with class to do item, then we have the paragraph, the p here, and then we have the label. So that's our selector. And here what we need to do is we're gonna get the first node, and this should have the class is complete. Have that class and the name of the CSS class that is complete. Okay, I'm going to clear this and let's run all the tests again. So now we are going to add the new task. We're going to validate that the task was created. Then we're going to mark the task as completed using the checkbox. And then we're going to validate that the class that is assigned to this element every time you click on the checkbox is actually executed. So let's run this. And again, it's going to open our VueJS application and it's going to start adding a new task. It's going to type the name of the task here on this input. It's going to press the add task button. And as you can see, we have the task created. Now it's going to find the task in the DOM. And this is the assertion. This is the assertion on the paragraph. And then now it's going to check the task that is going to be marked as completed. And now it's going to verify that the class was assigned to that label. And all the tests passed, as we can see here. So adds a new task is working okay. Finds the new task is passing, clicks the checkbox to mark the task as completed is passing, and also the verification that the task is completed is passing. Okay, now let's add the last two tests to remove the task and then to validate that the task was actually removed. So now what we need to do is we need to create the test. That actually removes the task. And as usual, we need to use the ci.get. And in this case, the selector is going to be this button. So we need to access it by using the to-do item and then the button. That to-do item and then the button element. And what we need to do here is just click on this button. I'm going to add the weight. I forgot to add this here, so I'm going to add it now so we can see every step of the tests. Okay, and after removing the task, we need to validate that it was actually removed. So we create that test. Validates that the task has been removed. And again, we need to use this variable to access the Cypress library or the Cypress framework. And the selector in this case is going to be a div that is actually this one. It's the div of the task manager, because this div includes this another div that iterates the tasks, but because in this case we only have one task and we remove it, we need to check that this div is actually empty, because this is not going to be rendered because we don't have any tasks. So I'm going to use div here, and I'm going to check that it should be empty. Be that empty. I'm going to add the weight here before and after this sentence so we can see it clearly. Okay, so let's run these 6 tests now. Let's review them. We're going to add a new task. We're going to validate that the new task has been created. Then we're going to update that task, marking that task as completed. After that, we're going to validate that the task was actually completed. And then we're going to remove the task and then validate that the task has been removed. So let's run this. And again, it's going to open our VueJS application. Okay, let me remove this task. Okay, and now it's going to create the new task. It's going to click on the Add Task button. So now we have our new task. It's going to validate that the task was actually created by looking for this assertion on the DOM that the paragraph contains the name of the task. Now it's going to click on the checkbox to mark the task as completed, as we can see here. And now it's going to verify that the class that is actually changing the style of the text is assigned to the element. Now it's going to remove the task. And after that, it's going to validate that the task has been removed. So the div is empty. So all the tests passed. So that's all I have for today. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and I see you guys on the next one. Take care. Bye.